Ladies and gentlemen, what a week! President Trump imposing tariffs on a global scale, which at least for now seems to include all ancient coins entering the US, by far the largest numismatic market on the planet. Auction houses postponing auctions due to the legal uncertainties this has generated. Gold soaring to historical maximums, which also affects the numismatic market. There's a lot going on. The story is still developing, but I think it's a good idea that we stop our normal programming for a moment and do an assessment of the situation and how this will affect coin collecting in the US. And probably in the world, because everything that happens in the US, at least indirectly, affects the whole planet. I will leave the story of gold for last. First, let's talk about the ancient coin market and how these tariffs will affect it. And I'm going to send a shout out to Mike Gazvoda, the director of CNG. He has released a statement making an overall assessment of the situation as it currently is. And he has done a great job of clarifying the situation to collectors who might be panicking right now. In fact, I'm going to use the points of his email as a base for the key points we're discussing today. And by the way, since this is like a developing thing, if you have an opinion, a correction, or even an update on the situation, make sure to write it down in the comment of this video. I will keep a very close eye on it, and I'll make sure to pin any relevant information. Hopefully the comment section can be a space where people go to have a bit of clarity on the development of this whole thing. So, quoting Mike, President Trump has introduced tariffs for the majority of imports into the US, including collector coins. While changes to these tariffs may be made at any time without notice, and we don't know what the future will bring, here's what we know as of April 4th. And on the first point he says, up to this point, no coins have been exempted from the tariffs. These opening lines already give us an interesting bit of information. This is a developing situation. Sadly, this is a bit of a reality for both sides of the political spectrum lately. We live at a time when these big announcements and even bigger policies that affect the entire market are implemented first for maximum propagandistic value, and only later do the details, exceptions, and the whole practical aspect of something as big as these tariffs is actually thought out and implemented, leaving businesses to scramble to adapt. But right now, it's a moment to be incredibly serene and calm. Exceptions that could allow coins to get in as they used to might take some time to be implemented, and it might take even longer for the whole chain of like customs workers and bureaucrats to fully absorb the new legislation. So even if the situation changes for the better, you might go ahead, buy a coin, only to have a massive headache like explaining to the customs authorities that a coin should not be taxed, or that it should be taxed in X amount, and they instead tax it at like 3 times X. This is not financial advice, but I would be cautious in my purchases, at least for now. I wouldn't be surprised if a number of auction houses kept postponing their auctions until everything is a bit clearer. For example, we don't even know if there will be like a minimum threshold on value. For now, it looks like coins of any value will be taxed. However, there have been talks of a de minimis to the tariff, so a minimum value where it would start applying. We also don't know if this will apply exclusively to businesses or if private purchases, like for example through eBay, between individuals will be affected. For now, it seems like absolutely everything will be affected. Now, this second point is critical. Pay attention to this one. Coins entering the United States will be subject to tariffs based on the country of origin, meaning the country of manufacture. Good lord, government bureaucrats are such retards. A coin from a mint located in what is now modern Greece will be tariffed at a rate for Greece, therefore taxed for the rate of the European Union, regardless of where the coin has been held or where it is shipped from. Yeah, this is the main point that would make me want to stop any purchases for now if I was like a US-based collector. Let's say you want to be a law-abiding citizen and you buy 3 coins at a respectable auction. All of these 3 coins have been purchased, let's say, at a German auction house. However, the coins come from, let's say, Pantikapayon in modern-day Crimea. Another one is an imitation of an Athenian owl attributed to Gaza in Palestine. And the other one is a Gordian III Antoninianus struck at the Antioch Mint. And even if you go above and beyond scrutinizing where the coin comes from and you can prove the coins have been purchased in Europe, there's no evidence these coins come from any odd sources. Even though you do all of that, it would mean, as it currently is, that you would have to declare and pay a different tariff for each coin based on the tax rate for, in this example, Turkey, Palestine, and Ukraine. But wait, Pantikapayon staters were issued in Crimea. Is it Russian territory or Ukrainian? Which tariff are we going to pay depending on the country? Which tax should we apply? What about the pieces struck in Gaza? Even if you decide to go ahead and pay up the tariffs, once you declare the minting place of the coins, would there be the risk of some good-for-nothing custom official who doesn't know these are perfectly legal to own, buy and sell? Would this person start giving you a headache, asking questions about the coin's provenance? This coin comes from a war-torn country. What are you going to do? And what about coins of which we aren't sure where they were minted in? So, for example, Indo-Greek coins come to mind. They might have been issued in Pakistan, which has an eye-watering tariff of 30%, or they might have been issued in what is modern-day India, where the rate is 26%. We don't know exactly where these coins were made. Will you have to sit down with a customs official and open up a catalog of Indian coins to show them where a coin comes from? It is clear this legislation did not receive a fraction of the attention it deserved. And until these questions are answered, I would personally be very reticent to buy something. But hey, you do you, huh? And mind you, I say this with a sad heart and probably a bleeding wallet. I'm recording this video on Saturday, April 5th, and I have some consigned coins being auctioned today. So I know I'm taking a loss, and I'm probably making this loss worse by publishing a video like this. So if you can leave a like and comment in this video, please do so. It would help me out. Alright, third point. Although tariffs are not the same as import VAT, value added tax, our European customers and colleagues are familiar with the taxation of incoming coins. That's true. I personally don't buy coins from the US or any extra EU sales simply because it ends up being too expensive. Hopefully this situation serves as a cautionary tale to my dear US viewers to see how nasty overtaxation and government hunger can be detrimental to our hobbies. Okay, continuing on his point. US customers have not had to deal with this issue in the past. One difference from import VAT is that, as far as we know, tariffs that are paid cannot be reclaimed upon export from the US. He continues, coins already in the United States and sold to buyers in the United States are not subject to any tariff. Yeah, if no exceptions to the current state of the tariffs take place, this will certainly create an upwards pressure on the price of anything that is already in the US. If archaeologist associations making pushes to create restrictions on the import of ancient coins to the US already did a lot to create like a certain environment of legal uncertainty that pushed the prices up, especially any coins that can't be provenance before to 1970. Now, things are going to be even worse, and the effects would be felt on all price ranges, not only on the more expensive, rare coins that previously were more likely to be targeted by some custom officials trying to make a name for himself. And yeah, the entire situation is awful. On one hand, if you are a US collector, all your coins will certainly appreciate in value. Particularly the slabbed ancients might be going even higher, because I can see this situation attracting people who don't know a lot about ancient coins, thinking about entering the market because they see, oh, now they understand there's this new financial barrier to new supply. It means the internal stock will appreciate, and this could push the price for slabbed coins through the roof. So yeah, your coins might appreciate, but Remember, you are a collector, you're not an investor, so I would guess you are planning on growing your collection. So there's a problem there. Only time will tell what the prices in the US market will do, but if things continue the way they are right now, it's gonna go up. Next, coins already in the United States and sold to buyers outside the United States continue to be subject to regulations of the buyer's home country. Well, yes, as I said, depending on your VAT rate in your country, this is an extra you already have to pay anyways, on top of the buyer's premium you typically pay when you buy an ancient coin at an auction, which is on the rise. It seems like 20% is the new normal, which I think it's absurd. However, we're talking about something akin to a trade war, and it's taxes. It's something countries always want more of. So it is completely in the realm of possibility that your country, as a retaliation, could consider this the perfect excuse to put extra tariffs on goods coming from the US. So that would be on top of the VAT on your coins. So even if it is a coin not native from the US, this would be an extra brick in this potential new wall between US and foreign coin markets, which would only contribute for the rise of prices of ancient coins in the US. It really will depend on how the situation evolves. His next point addresses a likely way people would maybe try to avoid the charging of these tariffs. He mentions that even if a coin bought by a US collector or dealer from another US collector or dealer through a foreign seller, meaning the coin is outside of the territory, the coin is still outside of US borders. Therefore, it will be charged customs once it enters the country. I mean, I get how some people would think this could be a workaround. The idea would be that the seller is nothing but an intermediary, but the deal is being done between two US entities. However, that would not work because first, auction houses normally have to maintain secrecy about the identity of the consignor, and not only that, this would go against the essence of these tariffs, which is to precisely make a barrier between the US economy and the rest of the world. And in his last point, Mike reinforces the importance of the US market as the largest numismatic market in the world. That is absolutely true. Despite ancient coin collecting still being a small fraction of the overall US numismatic market, it is undeniable that the hobby is very well established there. The market is very refined, is this very efficient machine that moves a lot of money. And US collectors in general have more disposable income compared to like European, Middle Eastern, or Asian collectors, at least in absolute terms. The GDP per capita of the US is substantially higher. So this might represent a problem because the ancients market is probably one of the niches that is growing the quickest in the US. More and more collectors of, let's say, US coins are realizing they can even collect such a thing. So if you see this, if you add up this influx of new collectors with this bottleneck of supply, the prices are going to explode. This is going to be very complicated. And finally, I mean, what would I say to my US friends watching this video? Well, it's time to realize you are not alone in this hobby. You are part of a collective. Start organizing in your coin clubs. Contact the ANA, the ANS, the Ancient Coin Collectors Guild, your favorite coin dealers, and pressure your politicians. Unfortunately, we live in this time where we constantly need to fight to keep this hobby alive. Many European collectors, for example, are right now concerned about the political class here in Europe, together with the archaeological lobby, trying to put restrictions in our collecting rights. And for example, things are particularly heated up in Spain right now, as some of my friends from an association called the Numismatics Active are trying to defend Spaniards' rights to collect. And now, well, you people in the US, you have a hot potato on your lap you need to deal with. And the only way to change that is to explain to these politicians that these tariffs should not apply to coins, that this is a legislation that is impossible to enforce without killing the hobby, it is impractical, so Time to show that the US is the land of the free and the home of the brave. Get to it. And then we have gold hitting an all-time high in this scenario of panic. As I'm recording this video, gold is sitting at an eye-watering $3,037 an ounce. That's 89.1 euros for a gram for my EU and metric system viewers. Does it affect the numismatic market? It does to an extent. Ancient coin collecting in particular, the prices of its coins are almost exclusively given as its value as a collectible, rather than its bullion value. I've seen my fair share of ancient coins made out of bronze selling for multiples of its price in gold, as in its weight in gold. Roman sestertii in particularly high grade, or large Greek coins made by master engravers, for example, come to mind. These are coins made out of base metal that are incredibly expensive, and they will always be expensive. Ancient gold coins are mostly affected by the price of gold as a floor to its price. And most of the time this is applicable only to coins that don't have a particularly high demand, as a premium over the value of gold associated to it. Think about, for example, Byzantine tremises, for example. This is normally one of the first ancient gold coins many collectors get because it is light, it doesn't have a lot of gold in it, around 1.4 grams. So what is it? 130 euros right now in gold value? And you can get, for example, a common piece in okay condition nowadays for what? 250 euros, 300 for a tremises? Yes, if gold jumps in price to twice its current value, these coins will become more expensive. However, if you look at the higher end market for ancient gold, the connection isn't really there. For example, I've picked this beautiful aureus of Marcus Aurelius as a Caesar as an example. It weighs 7.5 grams of very high quality gold, so that's around 670, 680 euros worth of gold on that coin. However, it's sold at auction for 10,000 Swiss francs. You could triple the value of gold. It wouldn't really influence the value of this coin. Its hammer price at auction was entirely dictated by demand from collectors or investors. One could argue, however, and I'm actually willing to agree, that during these times of panic, where one of the symptoms is the rise of gold prices, there's more attention given to scarce assets like ancient coins. There's a fear component where people might want to put their money on collectibles rather than in stocks or more traditional instruments which are falling down. And of course, a dealer seeing this might end up hiking the price for these coins because he knows there is a wave of fear which might lead to someone buying the coin based on emotion. It's actually a bit counterintuitive to think about this. People investing in an unorthodox asset like this in a time of economic uncertainty, but I mean, gold seems to have this strange effect on us humans. It shows we're nothing more than slightly smarter monkeys, but in reality we can be as emotionally volatile as a chimpanzee having like a hissy fit. So, with all of that in mind, now it's time for you to comment what you think about all of those interesting times we're living in the comment section down below. What do you think will happen to the ancient coin market? Are you buying right now? Are you buying ancient gold coins or are you holding back? Let us know in the comment section below. And just remember to take a deep breath, remember to contact your collectors club, and remember to push back against these tariffs. And let's keep this hobby alive. Alright, I'll catch up with you all later. Let me give a special thank you to all of my amazing channel members and Patreons for their generous support. This channel would not be the same without your help. And if you would like to be part of this list, have early access to my videos when they are uploaded to YouTube, and a series of other perks, make sure to check out my Patreon page and my members tab on YouTube. Thank you very much.